Well, if you do it smartly, we can. We should stop wasting time. Come on.
Right, okay. Right, George. That war started because all the Arab countries, 23 of them, decided that they were going to have a war together and finish off the Israelis. And President Gamal Abdel Nasser of Egypt, he actually decided that he was going to close the Straits of Tiran, which you know, for the Suez Canal, etc., and the Straits of Tiran, which go up the Red Sea. So, in other words, Israel would be blocked off. And this was in contravention to United Nations Charter. So, of course, what the Israelis did was they decided to take a preemptive strike against the Arab countries. In 2 hours, they finished off the Egyptian Air Force. Nasser turned round and phoned up for King Hussein of Jordan and said, I've destroyed the Israeli Air Force, why don't you join in? And Hussein was warned. At that time he was in charge of the West Bank and all of Jerusalem, and Eastern Jerusalem, I beg your pardon, and he decided to get involved and started bombing the Israelis inside Jerusalem. So of course the Israelis didn't stand for it, they finished him off, and the whole war, put in the clue, finished off within 6 days. Now at that time the Israeli Prime Minister was a man called Levi Eshkol, and Moshe Dayan, who I'm sure you've heard of, was his defence minister. And when Israel was successful, they pleaded with the Arab countries. They said, look, we're willing to give you back every inch of territory, every single inch, and let's sort all these problems out with the refugees, etc., etc. And have you heard of the 3 no's?
Please, Ronnie, you're really
No, this is very relevant, George. I want to tell you why.
So let me deal.
Listen, Ronnie, we have a lot of callers.
Let me tell you,
we've got a lot of callers.
Right?
Ronnie, you'll need to keep quiet now so that I can answer you, because we've got a lot of callers, and you and I can't have a simple Simon Metapyman view of history going on for the whole 2 hours.
I just want to make
that was an Alice in Wonderland explanation of how we got where we are now. The key word in all your simple Simon Metapyman history lesson was the word preemptive. Israel preemptively attacked its neighbours in the Six-Day War in 1967. That's why the world legal body, the United Nations Security Council, passed Resolution 242 and 338, demanding that Israel withdraw from the territories it occupied in the Six-Day War that you have just been misdescribing. Now, that means that since 1967, and it's now almost 2007, that is almost 40 years, Israel has been in defiance of international law, holding on to the territories of its neighbours that it occupied. And that is the core of this problem. I'm sitting here in Lebanon. Israel continues to occupy a portion of the Lebanese territory called Sheba. For nearly 20 years, it occupied an entire 1/3 of Lebanon. I ask listeners in the United Kingdom to imagine a foreign country occupying 1/3 of our country for nearly 20 years, and then ask themselves whether they would join the national resistance against that foreign occupation, and any decent person would answer in the affirmative. Israel has occupied, no, not just occupied, annexed the Golan Heights, which is the Syrian territory which it stole in the war in 1967 that you've just been misdescribing. And until those 2 pieces of land are returned to their rightful owners, as international law demands that they should be, there will be a conflict between Lebanon and Syria and Israel. But of course the core of this, and the fundamental reason for all the wars between the Arabs and the Israelis, is the one word you couldn't bring yourself to mention in your long, childlike primary school history lesson, and that's the word Palestinian. It's the fact that Palestine was wiped off the map by the creation of Israel, and that millions of Palestinians have lived ever since as refugees in rancid refugee camps around the area, unable to return to their homes, literally their houses, their land, their orange groves, their olive groves, not able to go back to their country, having no country to call their own, having no passport, no state, no status in the world, if that is the fundamental conflict that has led us to this. Now, people like you, Ronnie, who are blind supporters of Israel, really can't have it both ways. You can continue to deny reality and think that Israel's military strength will continue to defend its people forever, or, as I advocate, you will use this new reality, which we now see today, that Israel's era of military superiority is coming to an end. They lost the 34-day war, and not against a powerful Arab country, but against a weak one. Not against a powerful Arab army, but against a group of guerrillas, irregulars, men who in other times are selling oranges by the side of the road, or working in cafes, or cutting people's hair, but who, when the time comes, pick up their weapons, fought Israel, and defeated them. So, this is a good time, Ronnie. I know you don't see it this way.
All right.
But this is a good time for friends of Israel to decide that now is the time to negotiate a settlement of this conflict before it erupts in war again.
Okay, Ronnie in Mill Hill, we're going to move on. Listen, it is a plea this evening. We have a lot of calls we need to get on air between now and 10 o'clock tonight, so please keep your points brief. 08704 20 20 20 is the phone-in number. You can email us via talksport.net, text 81089. It is George Galloway, live from South Lebanon. It is Talksport, 1089 and 10:53 a.m. Also across the United Kingdom on digital radio, and across Edinburgh, Fife and Lothian on Talk 107. More of your calls in a second.
Hello, boss. It's Sparkins at the Talks